Hello. And this is the final part of Act 2, The Crucible, Act 2, Part 4, which starts with the Red Book on page 70 and with the New Book on page 67. We're going to start at the part where it says, in italics, the stage directions, Giles Corey appears in doorway. Okay? So remember, Hale's about to leave. He has told Elizabeth and John, keep a low profile, make sure you go to church every Sunday, have the third kid baptized really quick so that you guys look good, okay? But just as Hale is about to leave, Giles Corey appears in doorway, okay? And Giles says, John! Giles, what's the matter? They take my wife. Francis Nurse enters. And his Rebecca. Rebecca's in the jail? Aye. Cheever, come and take her in his wagon. We've only now come from the jail, and they'll not even let us in to see them.
They've surely gone wild now, Mr. Hale.
Reverend Hale, can you not speak to the deputy governor? I'm sure he mistakes these people. Pray calm yourself, Mr. Nurse. My wife is the very brick and mortar of the church, Mr. Hale. And Martha Corey there cannot be a woman closer yet to God than Martha. How is Rebecca charged, Mr. Nurse? For murder. She's charged for the marvelous and supernatural murder of Goody Putnam's babies. What am I to do, Mr. Hale? Hale turns from Francis, deeply troubled, and says, Believe me, Mr. Nurse, if Rebecca be tainted, then nothing's left to stop the whole green world from burning. I'll let you rest upon the justice of the court. The court will send her home. I know it. Make an important note here. Hale has all his faith in the court and the justice system. He thinks that if the court is involved, it will do everybody right, okay? And this is Elizabeth.
Hi, people.
Reading the part of Elizabeth. Now, Francis Nurse says, You cannot mean she will be tried in court. Hale says, Nurse, though our hearts break, we cannot flinch. These are new times, sir. There is a misty plot afoot, so subtle we should be criminal to cling to old respects and ancient friendships. I have seen too many frightful proofs in court. The devil is alive in Salem, and we dare not quail to follow wherever the accusing finger points. Okay, remember, quail is one of your vocab words.
Where are we?
Shh, Hale is one of your vocab words. Okay, and quail means to shake and to tremble, okay, with fear, all right? But Proctor is angered. You follow along. Okay, Proctor says, How may such a woman murder children? Man, remember, until an hour before the devil fell, God thought him beautiful in heaven. I never said my wife were a witch, Mr. Hale. I only said she were reading books. Mr. Corey, exactly what complaint were made on your wife? That bloody mongrel Walcott charged her. You see, he'd buy a pig of my wife 4 or 5 years ago, and the pig died soon after. So he come dancing in for his money back. So my Martha she says to him, Walcott, if you haven't the wit to feed a pig properly, you'll not live to own many, she says. Now he keeps the court and claims that from day to this he cannot keep a pig alive for more than 4 weeks because Martha bewitched them with her books. Okay, so basically let me explain what happened here. Martha Corey sold a pig to this dude Walcott. All alone.
I know.
And so what happened is pig gets sick, maybe the guy didn't feed it, whatever, and the pig dies. So now all of a sudden he's like, oh, well, that's why I haven't been able to keep my pigs alive. She's been cursing them and bewitching them. Again, something we wouldn't believe, but now that people are being accused of witchcraft, anything bad that happens is a reason for someone to point blame and accuse someone, okay? So now, here comes Ezekiel Cheever. It says, enter Ezekiel Cheever. Put your finger where we're reading so you get lost. Good. And there's a shocked silence because Ezekiel Cheever is kind of like the sheriff or the cop, okay? He's technically what they call the clerk of the court, but he's the dude who's going around and arresting people and putting them in chains and putting them on a wagon and taking them to the jail, okay? So here he comes. Good evening to you, Proctor. Why, Mr. Cheever, good evening. Good evening, all. Good evening, Mr. Hale. I hope you come not on the business of the court. I do, Proctor. I am clerk of the court now, you know. Enter Marshal Herrick, a man in his early 30s, and again, new character, not super big character, but you should be boxing him, who is somewhat shamefaced at the moment, because he also is involved with arresting people. Giles says, "It's a pity, Ezekiel, that an honest tailor," that's a person who makes clothes, might have gone to heaven, must burn in hell. You'll burn for this, do you know it? You know yourself I must do as I'm told. You surely know that, Giles, and I'd as lief you'd not be sending me to hell. I like not the sound of it, I tell you. I like not the sound of it. He fears Proctor, but starts to reach inside his coat. Now believe me, Proctor, how heavy be the law. That's a way motif. All its tonnage, another way motif, I do carry on my back tonight. He takes out the warrant. I have a warrant for your wife. You said you were not charged. I know nothing of it. When were she charged? I am given 16 warrant tonight, sir, and she is one. Who charged her? Why, Abigail Williams charged her. On what proof? What proof? Cheever now looks about the room. Mr. Proctor, I have little time. The court bid me search your house, but I like not to search a house. So you'll hand me any poppets that your wife may keep here. Remember, a poppet's a doll. Poppets?
I never kept no poppets, not since I were a girl.
Now he's embarrassed and glances towards the mantel where sits Mary Warrant's poppet. I spy a poppet, Goody Proctor. Now you say,
Oh, going for
No.
Why this is Mary's.
Would you please give it to me? Now you say, has the court discovered a text in poppets now? Right, is there something having to do with dolls? Cheever says, carefully holding the poppet. Do you keep any others in the house? No, nor this one either till tonight. What signifies a poppet? Why, a poppet, he gently turns the poppet over. A poppet may signify, now, woman, will you please to come with me? She will not! And then he says, Proctor says to Elizabeth, fetch Mary here. No, I am forbidden to leave her from my sight. And Proctor pushes his arm away and says, you leave her out of your sight and out of mine, mister. Fetch Mary, Elizabeth. So Elizabeth goes upstairs. Hale says, what signifies a poppet, Mr. Cheever? Cheever turns it over. Why, they say it may signify that she... Why, this! What's there? Why... He draws out a long needle from the poppet. It is a needle, Herrick. Herrick, it is a needle! Herrick comes toward him. Proctor says, and what signifies a needle? Cheever, why, this go hard with her, Proctor. I had my doubts, Proctor. I have my doubts, but here's calamity. Calamity is like a disaster. And then he shows Hale the needle. You see it, sir. It is a needle. Why? What meaning has it? Cheever, the girl, the Williams girl, Abigail Williams, sir. She sat down to dinner at Reverend Parris's house tonight, and without word nor warning, she falls to the floor. Like a struck beast, she says, and he says, and screamed a scream that a bull would weep to hear. Again, more animal motif. And he goes to save her, and stuck 2 inches in the flesh of her belly, he draw out a needle, and demanding of her how she come to be so stabbed, she... Testify it was your wife's familiar spirit pushed it in. Why, she's done it herself. I hope you're not taking this for proof, mister. Hale, struck by the proof, is silent. 'Tis hard proof. I find here a poppet Goody Proctor keeps. I found it, sir, and in the belly of the poppet's a needle struck. I tell you true, Proctor, I never warranted to see such proof of hell, and I bid you obstruct me not, for I... Enter Elizabeth with Mary Warren. Proctor, seeing Mary Warren, draws her up by the arm to Hale and says, here now, Mary, how did this poppet come into my house? What poppet's that, sir? And then impatiently he says, this poppet. Why, I think it is mine. It is your poppet, is it not? And then she says, "Oh, it is, sir." "And how did it come into this house?" Mary Warren glances at the faces and says, "Why, I made it in the court, sir, and give it to Goody Proctor tonight." "Now, sir, do you have it?" Mary Warren, "A needle has been found inside this poppet." Now Mary Warren says, bewildered, "Why, I meant no harm by it, sir."
No, it's right here.
Okay. "You stuck that needle in yourself?" I believe I did, sir. What say you now?" Proctor says to Hale. Now Hale, watching Mary, says, "Child, are you certain this be your natural memory? May it be, perhaps, that someone conjures you even now to say this? Like some familiar spirit, someone's ghost?" "Conjures me? Oh, I know, sir. I am entirely myself, I think. Let you ask Susanna Walcott. She saw me sewing it in court. Or, better still, ask Abby. Abby sat beside me when I made it." And then Proctor says to Hale, "Bid him gone." He's talking about Cheever. "Your mind is surely settled now. Bid him out, Mr. Hale." And then Elizabeth says, "What signifies?"
What signifies a needle?
And Haley says, "Mary, you charge a cold and cruel murder on Abigail." "Murder? I charge no. Abigail were stabbed tonight. A needle was found stuck in her belly. And you say, and she charges me?"
And she charges me.
No, it's a question. "And she charges me?"
I said that.
"I." And then Elizabeth, your breath is knocked out of her, says, "Why?"
The girl is murder. She must be ripped out of the world.
"You've heard that, sir. Ripped out of the world. Herrick, you heard it." Proctor suddenly snatches the warrant out of Cheever's hand and says, "Out with you. Proctor, you dare not touch the warrant." And he rips the warrant in house and says, "Out with you. You ripped the deputy governor's warrant, man. Damn the deputy governor. Out of my house. Now, Proctor, get ye gone with them. You are a broken minister. Proctor, if she is innocent, the court..." This is important. Proctor says, "If she," referring to his wife, "if she is innocent, why do you never wonder if Paris be innocent? Or Abigail? Is the accuser always holy now? Were they born this morning as clean as God's fingers? I'll tell you what's walking Salem. Vengeance! Vengeance is walking Salem. We are what we always were in Salem, but now the little crazy children are jangling the keys of the kingdom. And common vengeance writes the law. This warrants vengeance. I'll not give my wife to vengeance."
That was loud.
Because Proctor's really angry. And he says, basically, do you know what these girls are doing? They want revenge, okay? And there's always been people who are hypocrites, right? That's why he says, we are what we always were in Salem. A bunch of hypocrites. We pretend that we're all holy and mightier than thou, but we're just normal human beings. And people have always had vengeance and revenge and hate towards people, okay? But now you have all these little girls who are controlling what happens in the village. They're jangling the keys to the kingdom. They've got their attention. Okay? And he's really pissed off. And quiet. And now Elizabeth, though, is being calm and says,
"I'll go, John."
"You will not go. I have 9 men outside. You cannot keep her. The law binds me, John. I cannot budge. Proctor says, will you see her taken? Proctor, the court is judged. Pontius Pilate! God will not let you wash your hands of this."
"John, I think I must go with them."
No, don't read that part. No, go to the part where it says Mary.
"Mary, there is bread enough
For the morning.
for the morning. You will bake in the afternoon. Help Mr. Proctor as you were his daughter. You owe me that and much more. When the children wake, speak nothing of witchcraft. It will frighten them. She cannot go on."
Okay.
Wow, get down.
Proctor says, "I will bring you home. I will bring you home soon.
Oh, John, bring me soon.
I will fall like an ocean on that court. Fear nothing, Elizabeth.
I will fear nothing. Tell the children I have gone to visit someone sick.
Okay, so right there, okay, you're done reading now. Thank you for your help. So,
Bye.
so basically, okay, Proctor's really angry.
Sorry, my shoe came off.
Proctor's really angry, right? Okay, 2 things you need to annotate here. Number 1 is Proctor uses a simile there about falling like an ocean on the court, meaning he will bring down a lot of wrath, okay, on this court for taking his wife, okay? So there's a literary element. Also, when he says, Pontius Pilate, God will not let you wash your hands of this, okay? Where he says Pontius Pilate, you need to annotate that that is an allusion. It's a literary element. I will spell it for you. A-L-L-U-S-I-O-N. An allusion is when a literary work or some sort of text references another text. It's usually the Bible or Greek mythology. And so we'll need to discuss who Pontius Pilate was in the Bible, okay? And so that has some meaning there, all right? And so poor Elizabeth is basically saying, listen, don't tell the boys what happened. They will be all freaked out, okay? And she basically walks, okay? Now we're going to go back to the part where it says she walks out the door, okay? This is the stage directions. She walks out the door, Herrick and Cheever behind her. For a moment, Proctor watches from the doorway. The clank of chains is heard because what they did is they would actually put all the women in chains and then put them in this wagon to take them to the jail, okay? And of course, Proctor is really, really pissed, and he says, Herrick, don't chain her! He rushes out the door from outside. Damn you, man, you will not chain her! Off with them! I'll not have it! I will not have her chained! There are other men's voices against his. Hale, in a fever of guilt and uncertainty, turns from the door to avoid the sight. Mary Warren bursts into tears, of course, and sits weeping. Giles Corey calls to Hale. And yet, silent minister! It is fraud, you know, it is fraud! What keeps you men? Proctor is half braced, half pushed into the room by 2 deputies and Herrick. So he's like physically trying to get out to his wife, and they're holding him back. And he says, I'll pay you, Herrick! I will surely pay you! And Herrick says, in God's name, John, I cannot help myself. I must chain them all. Not let you keep inside this house till I am gone. Proctor stands there gulping air. Horses and a wagon creaking are heard. And Hale says, Mr. Proctor. And Proctor says, out of my sight. Charity, Proctor, charity, forgiveness, he says. What I have heard in her favor, I will not fear to testify in court. God help me, I cannot judge her guilty or innocent, I know not. Only this, consider, the world goes mad, and it profit nothing that you should lay the cause to the vengeance of a little girl. And Proctor says, you are a coward. Though you be ordained in God's own tears, you are a coward now. Hale says, Proctor, I cannot think God be provoked so grandly by such a petty cause. The jails are packed. Our greatest judges sit in Salem now, and hangings promised. Man, we must look to cause proportionate. Where there's murder done, perhaps, and never... were there murders done, perhaps, and never brought to light? Abomination? Some secret blasphemy that stinks to heaven? Think on cause, man. What is the cause? And let you help me discover it. For there's your way, believe it, and there's your only way when such confusion strikes upon the world. He goes to Giles and Francis. Let you counsel among yourselves. Think on your village, and what may have drawn from heaven such thundering wrath upon you all. I shall pray God open up our eyes. And Hale leaves. Francis, I never heard no murder done in Salem. Proctor says, leave me, Francis, leave me. John, tell me, are we lost? Go home now, Giles. We'll speak on it tomorrow. Let you think on it. We'll come early, eh? Aye. Go now, Giles. Good night, then. Giles Corey and Francis Nurse go out after a moment. Mary Warren, okay, in a fearful squeak, just like a mouse squeaks. That's more of your animal imagery. In a fearful squeak of a voice, Mr. Proctor, very likely they'll let her come home once they're given proper evidence. Oh, sorry. You're coming to court with me, Mary, Proctor says. You will tell it in the court. I cannot charge murder on Abigail. You will tell the court how that poppet come here and who stuck the needle in. She'll kill me for saying that. Abigail charged lechery on you, Mr. Proctor. Okay, now lechery basically is excessive sexual indulgence. Remember, the Puritans believed that marriage and that sex was only for producing kids, okay? So even though human beings probably had sex, back then, they all hid it like they didn't, right? So to have sex without the purpose of distinctly producing children was a sin, okay? Lechery, okay? So now,
what's the remote?
You'll get it later.
What?
Go read a book.
No.
So it says, Abby will charge lechery on you, Mr. Proctor, right? And Proctor says, she's told you? I have known it, sir. She'll ruin you with it. I know she will. Ruin his reputation. Proctor hesitated, and with deep hatred of himself. Good. Then her Sataniness is done with. We will slide together into our pit. You will tell the court what you know. I cannot. They'll turn on me. Proctor strides and catches her, and she is repeating, I cannot. My wife will never die for me. I will bring your guts into your mouth, but that goodness will not die for me. I cannot do it. I cannot. Proctor, grasping her by the throat as though he would strangle her, says, make your peace with it. Now heaven and hell and heaven grapple on our backs, and all our old pretense is ripped away. Make your peace. He throws her through the floor where she says, I cannot. And now, it says half to himself, staring and turning to the open door, peace! It is a providence, and no great change. We are only what we always were, but naked now. I, naked, and the wind, God's icy wind will blow. And then she's sobbing on the floor, I cannot. And it says, and the curtain falls. You should have annotated some more motifs right there, okay? And when he says, we all what we always were now, right? We're all the hypocrites we always have been, but now we're naked. All of this is exposed, right? And now God is going to judge us. And then that is the end of Act 2 as the curtain falls. Now, before you completely close the book on Act 2, you should look at the bottom of the page, okay? It says Act 2, Scene 2, okay, which appeared in see the little star at the bottom, by the way? Okay, which appeared in the original production, because remember, this is a play, was dropped by the author from the published reading version, the collected plays, and all Compass editions prior to 1971, okay? So prior to 1971, okay, this scene was not published. It has not been included in most productions subsequent or after to the revival of at New York's Martinique Theatre in 1958 and was dropped by Sir Laurence Olivier in his London production in 1965. It is included here as an appendix on page 139 in the new book and on page 148 in the old book. Before you are done, you should turn to the very back of the book and you will see Act 2, Scene 2, which is in the woods at night, okay? So read through that. It's very, very quick, okay? Because I'm going to ask you, why do you think Arthur Miller didn't want that published in the original play? Okay, why was the scene dropped? And we'll discuss that tomorrow. Hope all this was helpful to you. Go back and finish your annotations because those of you who are watching this video, I'm going to be looking at them probably tomorrow. Adios.